this is Meg at Chasing Retro, and as requested, I am going to have a video showing how the junk journals that I make are sewn together. Disclaimer, I don't sew my signatures in myself. My husband does it for me. He does a much better job, and his hands are a lot stronger than mine. I've got some autoimmune type issues, and so he willingly and gladly steps in and helps me with this part, and he's a lot more technical than I am, so it works out really well. So, say hello.
Hello.
He will be instructing you and giving the details of the process. I hope this helps those of you who are new to junk journaling and not quite sure how to put a signature into a spine.
Hello. Okay. Thank you so much. So the first thing to do when you're doing your spine is to lay everything out in very crisp, neat right angles. Now, junk journaling normally is a free-for-all, creative, messy, but this one step has to be super type A. Otherwise, it will absolutely not work at all. So
I disagree, but keep going.
So she's over here laughing to my side. So you have right brain, you have left brain. This will be definitely the left brain side. Not really. You can be super messy. First thing is this: you use this tool here. It's called an awl, and I've got this little cap on it. You take the cap off and meticulously place it so you don't lose it. If you don't lose it, then you win. Okay. Need some scissors, sharp scissors to cut the thread. Go ahead and select your cord. We're using a canvasy kind of wax cord. Do you have the details on what this is?
Wax cotton cord.
Wax cotton cord. Have lots of options available, but this one's going to work for us. So one of the first things I do is try to make sure we select a color that's going to complement the journal in some way. Now she is going to be using this elastic later on in the journal. So because there'll be touches of black there, there's a little bit of black like in the hair there and on these seagulls. You just want to find something that'll complement the whole journal nicely. That's fun. Go ahead and, well, we'll go ahead and measure this out. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and measure out some cord. Now we have a 2 signature journal. You can see that right there. So we're going to need 2 strands. I do about 3.5 times the amount of the spine length. So I'm measuring 1 length, 2, 3, and then another half. You can go ahead and cut it.
This leaves room for you to either tie a bow at the end or leave them dangling underneath the journal and add beads. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And just gives you enough margin for tying things off. You could get by with 3, maybe even 2.5, but it just gets a little tight. So having 3.5 gives you more than enough so you're not stressed out at the end. Tie that up. Okay, now we got our strings. You will need some of these binder clips. It's not required that you have a small rabbet on the clip, but if you have the rabbet, it definitely makes the process go a lot more smoothly. That's a requirement of mine personally, not so much you. You got some other clips there. Okay, so take your awl. Also, the big goal here is to not put this through your hand at all. Typically doesn't work well to have that going through the journal. Then you need a template. So through the years, we've made a bunch of templates, and these are for all various size journals, 2 signature, 3 signature. You can kind of see a bunch of different ones. Some of them we've named. Apparently this one works for Reader's Digest journals. Write a little note there. Anyway, I've gone ahead and pre-selected the one that we're going to use for this. Most of the time, once I've got that many, one of them will get close enough. So this one in particular, notice is a 2 signature. So you're gonna have 3 holes. Use my awl to point here. These 2 holes will be for where the signatures are. They're roughly a half to a third in on either side if you divide it in half. And then you're gonna need one down the center, and this will be for punching the holes in the actual signatures themselves. This will make a lot more sense once we get into it. Okay, and the way you know that the template fits right, you lay your template on the back of the journal. And you see there, it fits pretty. You don't need cat hair either. That's just extra. If it makes its way into the journal, bonus. All right, so you see that template fits pretty close right there. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is remove the signatures. Make sure you don't get them mixed up, especially if your wife has given you a journal to put together. You don't want to get this part wrong. So two signatures, I'm just going to lay them to the side. And I'm going to work on the spine first. So there's the spine. Anything you want to add? Am I doing right?
Yes, as you can see, I've already put a eyelet right here for a tassel. It's a lot easier to do this before you sew in the signatures. Not so much on a 2-signature journal because you can still go in between them. But if you're doing a 3-signature journal, there's not going to be any clearance for you to add that later.
Oh my goodness. Someone wrote in your book. Is that okay?
It was like
do we need to throw it away?
No.
Oh.
I have a plan to cover that. But,
good. Well, just make sure.
I don't know what that means. 10-11?
Or is it 10-11-11? This could be a treasure map.
Yeah, I wish it was in pencil, but it's in pen.
Yeah, oh well. It adds to the character. All right, take your template, lay it on the inside, just like so. And this is where your little bunny rabbit binder clips go. Clip one there, flip it around. Clip one here. And you make sure, like you see there, it's buckling. Make sure it goes nice and flat. Otherwise, it'll shift a little bit on you. Clip it around. And now for the fun part. Now this has hard cardboard inside here.
Describe what's underneath you here.
Oh, good call. Okay, so safety first, everybody. We have a cutting board here first, so nothing's going through that. And then we have an old mouse pad, which is kind of rubber, kind of tacky on top of it. It just gives you somewhere for this spiky thing to go. So now remember, we have 3 dots for our 2-signature journal. These 2 outside ones are for the back cover. We'll use the middle one in a minute. I'll show you where. So I'm going to just start by punch it in. And what I like to do is put my fingers, I'll show you here, put my fingers on either side where the awl is going through. And I push it through, about that far. So probably 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches through. Twist it and then bring it out. Same thing with the next one. And this is the part where, it's against the rules to put it through your fingers, so don't ever do that.
Another reason why I don't do this.
Oh, that's a good point. I got your back. All right, you see there, just pushing it through. And I'm really holding the journal backing really tight to make sure it doesn't bend or crack. Some of these books are old. And so I've got a good bit of force right there with my fingers holding it in place. Okay, so I've got those two. Now move it on down here. And again, this one, my finger's just really close so that it doesn't bend the back at all.
Now let me explain what the spine is made of. This is a rebuilt spine, and I'll do a video another time on how I build a new spine for an old book. The original spine is not in here any longer. This spine is 2 layers of chipboard with a layer of Kevlar is not the right word.
Oh, this right here?
Tyvek.
Yeah.
I don't know why I want to say Kevlar.
That's
Tyvek, which is like a mailing envelope that you can't tear.
Yeah.
And so when
if it was Kevlar, you could shoot the journal and it would just deflect bullets.
Okay. Well, so there is a lot of layers in here. It's hard to get through, but as Ken said, it's not as brittle as, say, this would be, but if you choose to keep the original spine of your journal, you would have to use more care because it might just crumble.
Prior to that, you would just use this awl and twist it and kind of be really careful. So as it goes in, twist a little more and just make sure you open that up. And you're going to need that for later on. You don't want to just have a little pin prick in there. And you'll see why once we start to thread this thing. Now, let me find my needles. I don't know what these are actually called. Are they called needles? So
this is the awl and the needles and something else. It might have been a selection of thread. I bought it on Amazon as a bookbinders set, and I believe I have it linked below if you would like to buy the same set that I have.
So there are different weights for these little guys. This middle one, middle to the largest, is probably going to be good for what we're doing here. It's pretty heavy. It's fairly thick. So put the rest of them away. All right, we'll just get this one. I'm gonna go ahead and thread this up and get it ready to go. We're gonna just thread the needle. Now, because there's wax cord on here, you kind of pull it like that and it'll hold together pretty nicely. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just gonna thread it. And I'm gonna thread it with, 10 inches or so on the other side so it doesn't slip back through. We're gonna be using single thread though the whole time, so eventually we'll just go with single thread. All right, so set this aside. Now we need our signature pages, and we're gonna pierce the holes. I'm grabbing the first signature first. Again, just trying to make sure I don't get something mixed up. So you gotta be a little bit...
Or upside down.
Yeah, which can happen. So this is the first signature. I'm gonna first just tap it gently and center it up. And then I'm gonna now open the side up here or the inside up. Now, are there any offset pages in here, May?
Yes, but they should be where they need to be.
Okay. So what I'm looking for is things like this, where this page, she has intentionally offset up a little bit from the bottom. So I'm just putting, again, force on my left hand, holding it. And just making sure like pages like that are where they need to be. So once you do this step, it's kind of a done deal. Okay, so I'm just centering it up nicely. This is where your template goes back into the center. Now you see where the center hole comes in. And we're gonna settle it down in the middle. Now you'll notice this template is gonna be larger on this piece because the journal pages are actually a little bit smaller than the edge of the background there. So as that is the case, I'm just gonna hold it and estimate, make sure the center is met. So yeah, it's a little bit of trim on either side. And again, most of the time, if you get it pretty close, you're okay. Now, binder clips, only use the ones with rabbits.
I don't think she's a rabbit.
No, it's not a rabbit.
It's my Melody.
Wait, just hold it.
She's wearing a rabbit hat, but I don't think she's a rabbit.
Oh, she's a
Maybe
fake. She's a fake rabbit.
She's a Sanrio character.
Okay. Binder clip here. Little tricky when it sticks out, but you can make it work. And then just to be safe, binder clip on the other side. Well, rabbit one first.
Maybe she is because Hello Kitty is a kitty. Or is she a little girl dressed up as a kitty?
Oh.
I don't know.
This seems like an existential question right there. What do you think? Leave it in the comments below. Okay, so now clip, 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 and clip. It's now nice and tight all together because you're gonna now pierce through all the layers at once. If you're not careful, it'll go off sideways and it'll come out not in the dead center, but on the side. So just, be careful. The first one, I'm just gonna slowly pierce through and inspect the back, and you'll see there, get it right there in the absolute center. Sometimes it doesn't get that exact, and that's okay. Now I'm gonna twist and push forward. So I'm just twisting, and I'm gonna take it up, because this all tapers. I'm gonna take it up a few inches, which is opening up that gap. And then kind of twist it and easy back it up. And you'll see there's a nice clean hole through there. On the other side, you can see what happened there. There's a nice clean hole. Careful now not to let anything shift or it gets to be a bit of a mess. I'm gonna go ahead and just pop these other two holes. And the last one. Perfect. Okay. Again, I'm kind of just combination twirling it, twisting it, and pushing it through at the same time to open it up. And we have 3 holes. Now let's find this threaded cord. All right, here's how the pattern works. I'll explain it, then I'll show it. So get your backing here.
This is called a 3-hole pamphlet stitch.
Okay, I didn't know it had a name. Yeah, fancy.
Unless Ken has his own spin on it.
This is called a I'm blanking. I can't think and do it at the same time. Okay, anyway, yeah. 3 opening, bifold, double back, half stitch. That's what we're gonna be doing here today. Inspired by the Sanrio character, My Melody. Okay, so you go in through the middle, and then you'll come out the middle and back in the bottom. Okay, so into the middle, and then you'll come out of the bottom and up over and into the top. Then you'll come out of the top and back in the middle, right? So into the middle, into the bottom. Yeah, I can't talk and do it at the same time. You're just going to have to follow along. All right, we got this. First one's scary, then it just kind of becomes second nature. So into the middle first. Pull through, make sure the cord doesn't go through. This is where I'm gonna grab you see my 2 holes from before? Grab hole number 1. Now, these things tend to catch on the binder clip, so just, go carefully. First stitch in. Now I'm going to turn it to the side. We're going to find that hole for the first. Sometimes if you lose it because it's on fabric, you can use the awl to kind of help identify it. I got it right there. So, nope, that was the wrong one. See? Okay, back through the binding. Now we're going to feed it in through the bottom hole. Now this one, if you did it right and opened it up good, that should be pretty easy. At this point, I'm going to pull the template out. So I open up a binder clip, slide it away, leave it holding the pages, just don't let it hold the binder clip. Yep, like that. Oh yeah, we got this. Okay, now we can lift our template out of the way. That's gonna make a little bit of a mess, but I think, there we go. Template is now free. And so now we're gonna go up and over and into the top stitch, or the top hole. I'm gonna find the opening in the cover. All right. So now I'm gonna pull that cable through. And the last one, which can be a little tricky because you gotta get back through both. Sometimes I'll open it up and spread it out so I can see some stitching right there. Now, right here, you're gonna feed it back in the same hole that you came out of the first time. The trick is, and I'm kind of putting my needle in there and moving it around, you don't wanna go back through the cable because it can be easy there to pierce the cable if it's a stranded cable or string and make a little bit of a mess. We did good, we missed it. So now we're through that. Now feed it back through this last hole here, and there it is. And now we've got it threaded. At this point, needle goes to the side, clips come off, and we just want to tighten everything up. And the way we're going to do that, you want to make sure when the cable comes out, you have one on each side of this center string. So I'm going to feed that one through. You see there? Did you know I did this part? Oh, I put one on each side of the string because we're going to use that then to hold this middle string down. Now I like to center them up and get them as level as they have, or even as they have to be, or can be. So I'm just putting a little bit of force, pulling up, and then you can put a good bit of strength on this if you hold it down and then don't, just right close to the string. So that's a good bit of weight on there. Flip to the back, you should get a little bit of a snap, so get it pretty tight. A little more tug. So then strings on either side, and we do just a regular knot. Sometimes I'll do two just to make sure. There you go. I pull both of them down, make sure everything lines up right, close it, and now let's just take a look here and see how we did. And again, because the whole thing is a little bit shifty, it's gonna be a little bit off, and it won't be 100% perfect, but once it all comes together and you add all the other touches to it, it looks really nice and pretty. There, so first one done. Next one, I'm just gonna walk through without talking over. Do you think I can do it without actually saying words? Mm-hmm. Think so? I don't know, I like to talk a lot. Do you wanna say things while I do this? Mm-hmm. You should do that.
I don't wanna mess you up.
Ah, you won't mess me up.
This one has a greeting card in the center.
Ooh.
Right here.
Oh, that's good to know. Oh, I'm glad you did that.
Yep.
If you weren't here, this would have gone really bad. Okay, so this is a good case in point where the template probably, is only going to get through the one center. That's okay. You see how the template's going to go a little bit wider than the card? Because with the strings kind of crossing, it's going to hold it in nice and fine. Okay, make sure that's centered up. I want to offset a little bit. I said I wouldn't talk, and I'm already talking.
I'll do it too.
Do you? Okay. Are you gonna play music right here?
I could.
Ooh, do I get to pick it?
Yes, you do.
Yay! Okay, this next music that's playing was chosen by me. I will say, now the tip was out of the way, and this only has one hole through it. You saw there it slipped a little bit. You gotta be careful that it doesn't slip and slide. If it does, just go a little slower and kind of back up. Okay. All right, I'll give you an option here, Meg. You can either cut this part out and let me redo it, or remind them to do something that I did that was really silly.
What?
Okay, so when you're doing what I'm doing now, you also want to make sure you actually include the back cover, and don't just get stitching and kind of forget to sew it in the cover. Sometimes that happens, and you know what? This is real. So all you got to do, take it out. It threads off really easily, so you can pull it right back out.
It's much more difficult when you're on video.
Oh,
really
you sure?
I
Thank you.
promise.
Okay, thank you.
I do that all the time.
I'm just thinking away.
Your brain works differently when you know you're being recorded.
I'm so nervous right now.
Don't be nervous.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. Hi. Okay.
Mom taught you how to sew.
My mom did teach me how to sew. That's right. We do things. Okay. You notice when I was fixing my mistake there, I put the awl there to center it up to make sure that I lined it up the right way. Okay, now let's put it into the actual journal this time. Are you gonna leave that part in? You can.
I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, you should totally leave it in. Yeah.
We are human.
We learn through our mistakes. There's a lesson in there, everybody. In the comments below, tell us about your junk journaling mistakes and what you learned. The way I see you do junk journal stuff, you probably discover like new techniques by junk journaling. I bet you the first junk journaler to coffee dye paper just spilled coffee on their paper, and they were like, oh my goodness, this is gonna work great. I just found a new thing in junk journaling. If you were the creator of the coffee dye stain craze, leave a comment below. Kool-Aid dyed paper, same thing?
That story's got to be more interesting, actually.
The Kool-Aid one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Or the person who put paper like in an oven and it like got all brown and singed and, you know, vintagey.
Who was the first person to get brave enough to put a paper in the oven?
Someone's like, you know what? I may burn the house down. It's okay. I do it for the art. Okay.
Or if they take it outside, like I tried the first time and looked outside an hour later and none of it's in your yard anymore.
Yeah, that's where grass patterned journal paper came from. Because it was in our yard and it got grass stains all over it.
Neighbors call you, a bunch of paper from your yard is in my yard.
Also, those papers are blank.
Why did you put paper in your grass?
So much to explain. So, sorry, neighbors. Be good neighbors. Okay. Last one. Now, this is a little tricky again because you have only one hole in that middle piece. But I'll just gently, so I'll pull the cable out of the way. Gently work it through. Ah, nailed it. Did y'all see that? I almost poked my finger with that, but I didn't.
That would not make a good video.
No, it'd make a great video. Now we get like replays and okay. So now I'm gonna just pick up the cable because a lot of times they end up, I say cable, string. Sometimes it ends up on the same side. You just kind of have to feed one back under. Like that. A little bit not even, so I'm just gonna grab one of the strings here and pull it back through. Nope, that's the wrong one. Put some slack back into it. Now these strings are pretty tough, so you can feed them back through like that. Well, is it long enough to go to the end? That's why you do 3.5 links at the end. Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
I can
trim.
work with that.
You trim it. Okay.
I just add small beads to the ones that aren't very long.
Yep. 2. Nice. Okay. Last thing to mention. So if you do this and you end up in the cables on the other side of the strings are a little loose, it's not quite tight, you can untie this and retie it. I've done that before. The way you would do that is you would use your awl and kind of get in there. And then I won't do it here, but you can kind of pick at the knot because this cable.
Or you could use a straight pen too.
Yeah, just something sharp to gently, with the wax on it, it actually undoes pretty easy if you kind of find one of them. Mm-hmm. So you can do that. I've had to do that a few times when I've tied them incorrectly. Mm-hmm. But this one, we done. Da-da-da! Nice and even. Also gonna inspect to see if it landed right up and down, and it did. And there you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we're gonna decorate it.
We are?
Well, if you would like to help, you can, but I normally, the things that have to be sewn onto the pages, I do that before they're sewn in. But all of the other decorating I do afterward, because it's not as much fun, is it, to work on a journal that's already like exploding with goodies. It's very hard to keep them straight.
I don't see a whole lot of the bad words, but if I am, it's gonna be when, you know, there's stuff flying everywhere. While you do that, I'm gonna just, you know, clean up and tidy up.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right. Good.
Y'all have a great day.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.